Okay, so let's start the deep dive here. We can't do it without first addressing Tupac. So I know a lot of people have Tupac as the #1 rapper of all time. And I don't know if they are going to like what I'm about to play. Was gangsta rap a CIA operation to glorify the gang life? I mean, this is a major question. Was Tupac simply controlled opposition? An actor? Is there evidence of this? Was Tupac the controlled op and DMX the real deal? Let's examine here. Let's examine. So, this is a video the industry hoax revealed. I think people might be familiar with this. For those that aren't, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we're going to go through some of it here.
From birth, Tupac would be utilized as an agent provocateur, a mere stepping stone in the path of lies. In the revitalization of the Black Power movements, he was appropriately named after a revolutionary leader because he was being primed since birth to adopt this role as an adversary to the government. We have seen these characters being created and introduced to the public each decade in order to commence a revolutionary movement or thought. Then they are killed off and reaffirmed as martyr figures, serving as an example of what happens when you disobey the government.
I mean, that's a lot to unload right there. But the industry hoax here claiming that there are all of these major figures are plants, are manufactured plants, and he is also claiming the same of Tupac Shakur, the son of a Black Panther, primed since birth for this role in the stage known as the world.
Ranging from MLK to Rosa Parks to Huey P. Newton, agents are issued out to carry out psyops. Time and time again, these figures come from families with connections to government agencies and exhibited as political activists, publicly killed off and marketed as martyrs, with their stories being sold off into each new generation to bolster the anti-government heroism and the understanding of the effects of anti-government activism. But let's start from the beginning.
Wikipedia tells us Tupac was born a month after his mother was acquitted of 156 charges of conspiracy against the United States government and New York landmarks in the Panther 21 trial.
I mean, is this all coincidental? Is it all coincidental? The coincidence theorists will say yes. But let's dive deeper here, because if it's not coincidental, I mean, call me crazy, but if all of these are not simple coincidences, what does it all mean?
After this long and torturous trial, we get this tidbit from the New York Times article announcing the acquittal. There wasn't enough evidence after 8 months? What were they doing for 8 months? Oh yeah, reading Mao and getting refills on popcorn. The prosecution should have had piles and piles of evidence, all the evidence they collected in order to charge the defendants with 156 counts of conspiracy against the US government. Also ridiculous is the fact that Tupac's mom represented herself in the trial, refusing to use an attorney. We are supposed to believe a poor farmer girl from North Carolina successfully defended herself in the New York Supreme Court against 156 charges of conspiracy?
I was rearrested along with 21 other members of the Black Panther Party on charges of conspiracy to murder some pigs, and attacks against our party still escalated.
I mean, I have to say, the coincidence stack is very high here. I mean, it is very, very high in this trial.
Other actors included the prosecutors from the DA's office, Joseph Phillips and Jeffrey Weinstein, and the judge, Charles Marks. Those names tell you everything you need to know.
We got Weinsteins and Marxes in this trial. I mean, this is really bonkers. I mean, this is really bonkers stuff here. Are we all to believe that this is all coincidental?
Marks had earlier presided over the Malcolm X murder trial, which was another fake trial. The Panther 21 bombing plot was a hoax coordinated by the equally fake CIA-created Black Panther movement. The fact that Tupac's parents were involved in this hoax and the Black Panthers is enough to out him as a spook.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say that's enough. I mean, various agents have children. That is true. Now, I mean, obviously the coincidence stack's about to get a whole lot higher, and on the merit of that, we can possibly make some connections.
Tupac Shakur was not his real name. This is an immediate and glaring red flag.
I actually mentioned this on the Tupac Shakur podcast I did. His real name is Lizanne Parrish Crooks. Crooks? His what kind of a last name is Crooks? Are they crooks? Some people also think that Tupac was born female, and other people say that he was effeminate and flamboyant, but we'll get to all that.
Saying even his real name is a mystery since neither of his parents were crooks. His mother was born Alice Faye Williams, and his father was born William Garland. So where did crooks come from? We aren't told.
We are told by Tupac's alleged father, Billy Garland, that Tupac was the product of a short affair that he had with a Feni at a Black Panther office. So who is Lassane Crooks? There are no real government-known records of a Lassane Crooks.
Affair at an office? What does that mean? Like, what were those offices used for? The Black Panther Party had official offices, and what were they being used for?
It is also possible Tupac was never Afeni's biological son. Looking at the younger Afeni, one would think she could pass for a lesbian. I also found an article about Afeni in a magazine called Dyke. In this article, Afeni appears in the section called Dykes Behind Bars. She was allegedly...
Wait, seriously? You can't make this stuff up, people. There's a... Wow. Like, this was an actual magazine, and Tupac Shakur's mother is featured in this magazine. Are people still following here? Is everyone still following? And yes, this is very necessary because we are laying the groundwork on why Tupac might have been the manufactured fraud and DMX might be the real deal.
Cellmates with an inmate named Carol Crooks. This is the only link between Tupac's alleged real name.
So, hold on. Call me crazy, but is it possible for two lesbians to have a child? So she has a relationship with another female, and okay. So now we have to ask the question. We might need Matt Walsh in here. What is a woman? I mean, who is male? Who is truly male and who is truly female? So here's a pattern that's been emerging, right? The past few years. All the conspiracy theorists are always called crazy. And when it seems like the crazier the supposedly crazier the conspiracy, the more they're derided and chastised. However, just a few short years or sometimes months later, it turns out the conspiracy is true. So all of this gender swapping facades Is there some truth to this?
This section states crooks continue to spend time in and out of correctional facilities as a young woman. Afeni became close to crooks.
How do these two women at a women's prison have a kid? I mean, am I simply not logical enough to figure this out? Can anybody in the chat help me figure this out? I mean, I don't want to be rude here, but let's go back to this clip. Let's go back to this clip here. Am I crazy, or does she have a mustache there?
New York Supreme Court against 156 charges of conspiracy.
I was rearrested along with 21 other men.
Am I crazy, or is that is that kind of a stash? Yeah, we do have some astute mind shockers in the chat here. Justin Johnson stating conjugal visits can be magical. Good point. Joyce B saying prison guard hanky panky. Yeah, that is curious. Now, are there usually male guards in a women's prison? Because from that clip, I mean, I don't know. I suppose it would depend on the prison. But if they were all female guards... Yeah, I mean, that kind of jumped out at me. I didn't want to really point it out, but now we have to. Now we really have to. We can zoom in even more here. I mean, DMX seems awfully curious about that stash. He's looking right at it on the screen right here. $16 Alpha saying, MindShock, you have lived up to your channel name today. We're just getting started, $16 Alpha V. This is just the beginning. You haven't even seen the bulk of receipts I'm about to bring on DMX possibly being the most influential individual that can bring down the cabal. Mario C in the chat saying, she reminds me of Chris Tucker from The Fifth Element. I didn't see that, but now that you mention it, whoa, now it cannot be unseen. Let me bring up an image to compare. I wonder if there is a Chris Tucker... I wonder if there's a Chris Tucker, Tupac Shakur connection. Maybe. I mean, definitely the nose. The nose is similar. I mean, yeah, Chris Tucker's sporting a little bit of a stash there as well. Yeah, Prince for sure. Prince for sure. Trying to get an image of him wearing glasses. If only he had the same kind of frames. Prince and Tupac look very similar as well. I mean, why wouldn't there be artists who got hoodwinked into the cabal and then resented that and wanted to blow the whistle in whatever way they could? Prince's nose is actually different. I thought his nose would be a little bit more similar, but the facial features. Wow. Lord Zed saying that her mustache is still thicker than Tucker's. Alright. Well, let's continue here.
Fenny appears in the section called Dykes Behind Bars. She was allegedly cellmates with an inmate named Carol Crooks. This is the only link between Tupac's alleged real name. This section states Crooks continued to spend time in and out of correctional facilities as a young woman. Afeni became close to Crooks.
Yeah, that was a female guard there in the background.
In the book Evolution of a Revolutionary, it states, Afeni continues, and the women in the party chose to stay away from me too. Their Panther men would tell them things about me like Afeni's a freak and Afeni's gay or Afeni's weird.
Wait, are they saying Afeni is effeminate? Effeminate Afeni? I don't know, man. I don't know, this is weird.
Women didn't want that association. Especially being gay, because then you don't get Panther men. But this is something I learned later. I also think they gave Afeni and Tupac a nose ring to force the mind into thinking like mother like son, to make them resemble each other. It's a clever mind trick, but in reality, they're not mother and son.
Crooks.
This is getting really, really weird. This is getting very, very weird.
We're told his mother made up the name when she filled out his birth certificate.
DMX is not happy about what's on the screen right now.
So that he'd be harder for her enemies to find and track. But this explanation makes no sense, since we were already told Alice Afeni was acquitted of 156 charges in a very high-profile case just 2 months before Tupac was born. That means she was in custody during most of her pregnancy. We're also told the FBI was surveilling her before her arrest as part of its COINTELPRO operations. Did she really think they'd just stop tracking her the moment she was acquitted? In any event, did she really think the FBI couldn't figure out what she named her son? And that still doesn't explain why she chose the name Crooks. If you really wanted to throw off the feds, would you pick that name?
Well, also, would it really throw off the feds, though? Because if it's... they would know who her cellmate is. I mean, that's kind of, this is kind of criminology 101. Who did someone share a cell with? Because obviously they might have talked to him.
She may as well named him burglar or arsonist.
The Panther 21 trials were a hoax, so this would make Afeni's prison time fake, and we were given entertainment identities. Therefore Tupac's real legal birth name is unknown, and never will be publicly disclosed. Some CIA operatives assume fake names to match the documents. I believe from birth Tupac was given a fake identity, and pushed through the public school system, while behind the scenes he was privately taught. How can you tell someone is a CIA agent? This person says I can't think of one trait that all agents have. The two in my immediate family are extremely eloquent and well-spoken. They are really into politics and know what's going on in the world. Both speak a foreign language. Both have one of those faces that could fit in anywhere and a good understanding of what makes people tick. If Tupac was an agent provocateur with a fake identity, then it's likely he wasn't really 25 years old. Why would the CIA give us real personal information if it's an operation? Let's take his social security number for example. He was allegedly born in New York. His social security number is said to be 546-47-8539. As we look up how social security numbers were given, it says prior to 1973, social security numbers were assigned by our field offices. The number merely established that his or her card was issued by one of our offices in that state. Tupac was allegedly born in 1971. The first numbers of the social security number for people born in New York are 050134, but Tupac's social security number is listed as him being born in California, with the number of 545573.
Wow, Industry Hoax really did their homework here. I mean, they are going through all of this. This is very, very interesting stuff.
Which means the created number is one of someone that's born in California, not New York. Another thing I find odd is, Tupac's alleged birth certificate was issued at the start of his career. As if they're saying Tupac Shakur, the rapper, was born. At the same time, Death Row Records was established. To me, the Black Panther operation was over, and now they're implementing it into hip-hop to further push the racial tension with Tupac.
I'm gonna replay that section again.
050134, but Tupac's social security number is listed as him being born in California, with the number of 545573, which means the created number is one of someone that's born in California, not New York. Another thing I find odd is, Tupac's alleged birth certificate was issued at the start of his career.
Now, is that when they issued that particular copy? Or is there no other copy? In which case, does Tupac not even have a legitimate birth certificate? It is kind of weird because I believe this birth certificate on the screen that they found, I think that is the earliest available one. And it does say Tupac Amaru Shakur. So where does Lisanne Crooks come from? I mean, this is quite weird. It says that Afeni legally changed his name 1 year later. So how come nobody has the original birth certificate? This is kind of weird. And why is the issue date? There's two different issue dates. On a later issue date happens to match.
As if they're saying Tupac Shakur, the rapper, was born. At the same time, Death Row Records was established.
I mean, this is kind of weird. I mean, the coincidence stack is getting crazy, and we're still pretty early in the podcast.
To me, the Black Panther operation was over, and now they're implementing it into hip-hop to further push the racial tension with Tupac. In my mind, Death Row Records was never meant to have longevity.
Joyce B., apparently all school records would have Tupac Shakur because she changed his name to Tupac Shakur 1 year after birth. So the only records that would have his Lisanne Crooks name would be his original birth certificate, all of the hospital records, and any records up to 1 year after birth would all say Crooks on them. Now, she claimed to have, these are the claims. It's claimed she changed his name to Tupac Shakur 1 year after birth. I don't see any records or documentation of this, so I guess we don't really know, though. Yeah, I mean, there seem to be a lot of missing records here.
This is why the main acts were Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tupac. Everyone else lacks the promotion, as the stage was only being set for Tupac.
Layla introducing Adrian Gregory, who was managing Digital Underground. He was like, I'm gonna send you to Digital Underground. They're in the studio. You just rap for Shock G on the spot. If you like you, then I'll pick you up. Yeah, I just walked in, rap for him. He's like, okay, good, you're in. Boom, boom, boom. I'll see you later.
Oh, come on. Hey, let me tell you one of my favorite Tupac stories. When Tupac was in his mother's womb, I was selling Black Panther newspapers to raise money to get out of prison.
Wow. Yeah, my father was in the Black Panther Party, and I actually was raised in the Black Panther Party.
There's the real connection. Money B's father was also in the Black Panthers, so this was not an ordinary walk-in and rap for Shock G. There's a prior connection that connects all the key players. This is why Tupac was accepted so fast. Let's get back to Tupac's alleged mother.
Intellia's search of Alice Faye Williams pulls her up as Alice Faye Williams. Note the misspelled middle name. We know it's her because it says she worked at the Black Panther Party. Right, as if it were a business and she was on the payroll. It doesn't show her being related to Tupac, Jarrell, or her husband at the time of her death, Gus Davis, which is odd. It does show her being related to a Janice Williams, and an Intellia's search on Janice shows her being related, in turn, to an Alice Burleson. An Intellia's search on that name brings up an Alice Faye Burleson, age 70, who has also worked at the Black Panther Party. Intellius is clearly messing with us, sending us off on a wild goose chase for the fun of it. All of this points to the obvious observation that names are being intentionally fudged and hidden with no good explanation. Tupac's body was quickly cremated with no funeral. Maybe they thought his family members weren't good enough actors to fake sadness at his fake funeral. Think of the transparent absurdity of the Michael Jackson funeral, where the kids especially never had the right face on.
Man, obviously a Michael Jackson rabbit hole podcast is long overdue, but yeah, well, welcome Sphinx Bear Jane Creek in here. You guys have missed quite a few things, but we are examining whether or not DMX is what people believe Tupac was. The genuine realist rapper. Was Tupac a manufactured shill plant? And was DMX for real?
and thus having the service would risk giving away the whole thing. The cremation bit sounds like a half-baked story to explain away there being no funeral. Tupac not dying also explains the inconsistencies in his coroner's report, such as the fact that it lists his weight as 215 pounds while his driver's license says 168 pounds.
I mean, I don't know. Did he go on the Suge Knight diet? But how quickly would that diet have increased his weight? I mean, how sloppy is all of this, though? How sloppy is this? Yes, Kill the Bank. I have been preparing a Michael Jackson podcast actually for several years now. It is going to be very comprehensive. I have a few audio recordings that people might not have heard. Apparently, when some of these industry insiders decide to blow the whistle, they get killed. I mean, what a shocker.
That's a pretty big difference. In fact, it's a difference of 47 pounds. Other skeptics say this was a slip-up by the forgers, but it's not a slip-up at all. It's an intentional signal. 47 is year one of the CIA, and we have seen that number all over the place with these projects.
Okay, is that a bridge too far? In the chat, what does everybody think? Do people think a 47-pound discrepancy? I think we need a poll on this. We definitely need a poll. I mean, the coincidence stack's already a mile high. The question is, though, who is it a signal to? Unless this is all revelation of the method. Naps1, have you checked out the MINDSHOCK predictive programming podcast? Mr. 1-to-1 says the 47-pound discrepancy sounds like someone got my takeaway order wrong. Yeah, but Tupac didn't really look that different throughout. You know, it didn't look like his weight fluctuated. I mean, I'll bring up an image here. I mean, there's no way this guy is in the 230s. Wow, that's a big picture. Yeah, this guy is not 230. This guy's not. I mean, maybe pushing 200, but at 6 feet tall, maybe not. If I had to guess, I'd probably guess around 180, between 170 and 180 at his height. I mean, a 47-pound difference? I mean, no. Yeah, I mean, everybody fluctuates a couple pounds, but not 47. I mean, he always kind of had that frame. I mean, he never got muscular, he never got fat. He had a very similar frame for pretty much his entire life from everything I've seen. I mean, sure, he might have been a couple pounds lighter, sure, in his earlier days, but I mean, even in his this is supposedly the last known picture. So Suge Knight is 265. Now I don't know how much he fluctuated, but do people really think that Tupac is only about 30 pounds lighter than Suge? Suge is gigantic. I mean, this is a huge discrepancy. This is a huge discrepancy. 53% of the chat said that it was a clear signal of something. We might not know to whom or for what reason, but it seems to have been a signal. Heracles in the chat here. You missed quite a lot. You missed quite a lot. But yeah, let's continue.
On Twitter, the CIA continues mocking the public, tweeting, "No, we don't know where Tupac is."
Wait, what? There's no way that's real. That was from the official CIA Twitter account? Wow. Okay, the 47-pound discrepancy is starting to look a lot less like a coincidence. I mean, that's kind of weird.
Notice the date of the tweet, July 7th, 2014, the 7th month, the 7th day, 2014, 2 plus 0, plus 1, plus 4, equals 7, there's the 777. They're laughing at the fans. The CIA knows exactly where Tupac is.
For further evidence, when they first released Tupac's coroner's report, they blacked out the first 3 and last 4 digits of Tupac's SSN, but leaves the middle 2 visible. Guess what those numbers are? 47.
Okay. Wow. Okay, we are firmly in MINDSHOCK land. Now, again, I was actually leaning slightly to the coincidence side for most of this. But this is the bridge too far for me. I mean, this is tough to write this all off. I mean, this is quite tough. This is quite tough to simply write off. The middle 2 numbers of his social are 47. The first 3 are 546, which don't match New York, but rather California. I mean, this is tough. This is tough.
Why wouldn't they just black out his entire SSN?
That's a good point. That is a good point. Unless, obviously, it wasn't even him, but...
Because it's a signal. It's marking this whole charade as an intelligence project.
He literally was not who he claimed to be.
The hell is he wearing there? The hell is that?
It was all a role, a characterization. The same for his alleged mother. Agents are issued out to carry out psyops that mislead and misinform the general public and keep them unaware as to the actual agenda taking place. This Tupac character served more than one role. His was to be both an instrument in the collapse of the black community, an advocate for government antagonism, and to make rap mainstream. His alleged family and lineage are not as heroic and prim of the heart-tugging Black Panther narrative that's been told.
Joyce B in the chat saying it looks like a Victoria-type bustier.
Tupac comes from a bloodline of informants who have worked for the CIA. Notice how all of the Shakurs are under
Mr. 1-to-1 in the chat saying that's a pussy-proof vest, bro. Wow, that's messed up. Jane Creek saying Tupac was most likely gonna play Mace Windu in a film where an evil lord seizes power through a series of false flag attacks. This is after becoming a conspiracy theorist. That just came to mind. 16 Alpha V saying, so Agent 47 of the Hitman video game series was inspired by Tupac. You know, that's actually curious. I didn't even put that together either, but yeah, you got a good point there.
Aliases, and are not their actual government names. It is only to give an indication that they are fulfilling a role, and are characters being used in these movements: Tupac, Afeni, Asada, etc., all Shakurs, all under aliases, rather than their real government names, and coincidentally all have ties to the Central Intelligence Agency. Tupac refusing conjugal visits from his alleged wife was another red flag. Instead, he's worried about what fans think. This doesn't sound realistic, and it's not, which is why Tupac's alleged ex-wife had a handler that was talking for her. Listen to the stuttering, it's all lies.
Conjugal relationship between the two of them while he was incarcerated.
A lot of people would think it was a marriage of convenience, and that, but they decided not to.
He didn't want to. He didn't marry me just for that sole purpose or anything like that. He married me because he loved me.
Okay.
You know, definitely from...
That is kind of weird how she kept looking at that lady every second. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Looking at him wasn't necessarily like...
Am I the only one looking at her throat there? What's going on with her throat there?
Like the type of cat that I would even like.
Yeah, Jada's throat.
Him.
I don't want to get the stream shut down, but
Wasn't.
Call me crazy. Call me crazy, but I don't think that's just from working out a lot. Again, call me crazy. Call me crazy. Now, I think this is a good time to do this. Just give me a second. I'm going to bring up some reference photos here. So females do have muscles in the larynx as well. So there are a lot of crazy people on Twitter just saying that every woman is a man. But let's actually do a proper investigation here. So here are the muscles of the larynx. So if you see the here, I'll circle it on the screen here. So you see these muscles here, they're clearly well-defined muscles here, and here, and here. So these are normal female muscles just from either working out or having low percent body fat. Those are all completely normal, even on a female. And to drive this point home, So even a female bodybuilder, for example, will have really big muscles all over the neck. So you can see here, if you look at her neck, you see these muscles on the side here. However, there is also the matter of something called an Adam's apple. Obviously, Adam refers to the first man. And this is actually thyroid cartilage is what it consists of. So it is not a muscle. Now, it is possible, obviously, to shave it down. And obviously, I guess with modern surgery, notice how this female bodybuilder either doesn't have that Adam's apple or it was completely shaved down. Either way, this isn't something that you can just write off as trachea muscles, or you see the muscles underneath. There are also trachea muscles with Joyce B. Are you talking about the female bodybuilder? Because she does not appear to have an Adam's apple. Because once again, that's cartilage, not muscle. And then there are also the trachea can be defined horizontally as well. I mean, here's just the first image of a triathlete I found. Not the most flattering image, but you can see her neck here. She's got a pretty defined trachea, but apparently no cartilage popping out like an Adam's apple. But obviously this triathlete is extremely low % body fat. So you would see all the muscles in the neck, the trachea, etc. But it appears she does not have any Adam's apple popping out. So now when we're watching this video of Jada, I mean, what... I mean, are people going to claim that that's some kind of shadow on the video? I'm not sure. Again, I do not claim anything is true or untrue.
Like the type. He married me just for that sole purpose or anything like that. He married me because he loved me.
Okay.
You know, definitely from looking at him wasn't necessarily like the type of cat that I would even like.
So it was so it may have been shaved down to not be as prominent as on an actual male. But again, I do not claim anything is true or untrue. DMX does not appear happy about any of this on this screen. Kill the bank, catch you next time.
Deal with, you know.
So far Tupac is not having sex with any of these women, yet they tell us he had every porn star lined up to have sex with him during his video shoot. So far Tupac does not fit that description, and if it's true, it only makes him bisexual. Tupac supposedly dated Madonna.
Wow. And that's another huge rabbit hole there.
Who was the biggest icon for the LGBTQ.
Also notice Madonna, at least in that image there does not appear to be any Adam's apple proliferation.
Madonna. She was also one of the first major superstars to show support for the gay community. Tupac allegedly being with Madonna sounds like an inside Hollywood joke.
I'm very intrigued by bisexuality and homosexuality.
But the idea of two men having sex is still such an abhorrent idea to so many people. I think that two men having sex is erotic.
Most of Tupac's style was pulled directly from females. The nose ring is feminine. How he wore his bandana was pulled from a female, perhaps Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, that's an interesting image there, too, of the masculine woman. It's also kind of hard to see Tupac's Adam's apple as well, even though obviously he's pretty slim. I mean, there's something there, but it's hard to tell. Very difficult. If it's there, it's not very pronounced at all.
Or Aunt Jemima. Physiognomists, who believed that physical appearance and mannerisms were evidence of one's character, failures of manhood, such as homosexuality. Take a look at the picture.
What the heck? Amaru is also the double-headed serpent. Of South American civilizations, Inca, Andean, either the feathered serpent, the plumed serpent. Some people think the land of America is the land of the serpent.
Tupac's posture doesn't look very masculine, yet when he's around other men he appears to be more masculine. This switch is one to take note of. The industry pointing at Tupac's sexuality once again. Chino XL calling him bisexual.
All you hear is ambulance sirens and pot. Bisexual ass crying on Opal like he Dennis Rodman.
Hot bisexual ass crying on Opal like he Dennis Rodman.
Whack 100 commented saying, Tupac, rapist, half gay. Trey Songz sent out a tweet associating Tupac with homosexuality, saying, if I'm gay, then Tupac is bringing me an ounce for this session with Biggie. The movie Friday After Next, they associated Tupac with a gay character, as if there were no other relevant rappers in 2002. They staged Jussie Smollett's attack story in the media for promotion. Jussie said at a concert, emphatically, I'm the gay Tupac. The kid from Africa that looks like Tupac, they made him go viral, doing photo shoots dressed as Tupac, he's also gay. The production of Tupac toy appears to be gay. So it seems as if they're associating Tupac with a lot of gay things, which to me indicates Hollywood telling us something that we're not paying attention to. In the book Got Your Back, written by Tupac's bodyguard Frank Alexander, he states, I may as well spell it out, Tupac had a horse cock. He noticed because of the infamous Death Row party. where Suge Knight flew in 40 females. This is not something a heterosexual man would write. In my mind, it's all psychology, the science of mind and behavior. They're making straight fans fantasize over Tupac unknowingly, hence why many fans seek to find females that supposedly had sex with Tupac, which is why most male fans make it a point to prove Tupac had sex with Faith Evans. Most females aren't seeking these things out, it's men focused on the idea of Tupac sleeping with 40 women, or having what Frank Alexander calls a horse. Gays shaped Hollywood and made the straight fantasize about another man. Hence, the movie Friday After Next, Tupac appealed to thugs, and they propped Tupac up with feminine traits and characteristics. Now they're showing the thug fantasizing about another thug.
Sphinx Bear, we're about to get into how early the whistle was blown and by whom.
This is what happened to the public unknowingly. Here's a clip of Tupac talking about unification. What he says is very interesting to say the least.
We manifest the best of the West Side and the best of the East Side, and we bring that together. You know what I mean? When East Coast G's have sex with West Coast G's.
What? Was that a Freudian slip? What? I never saw that interview before. Is that a little too on the nose? What? What? Was he just talking too fast? What? I mean, no, he's not talking about women when he's talking about G's. G's for gangsta. As in male gangsta.
Fantasizing about another thug. This is what happened to the public unknowingly. Here's a clip of Tupac talking about unification. What he says is very interesting to say the least.
We manifest the best of the West Side and the best of the East Side, and we bring that together. You know what I mean? When East Coast G's have sex with West Coast G's, these G's being women.
Did you hear what he? Then he's like, did everybody hear that? Then he tries to scramble and say these G's being women. I mean, what's the context there? He's talking about bringing West Side and East Side together. You know, East Side versus West Side is a well-known conflict, manufactured or not. And then he tries to cover it up, these G's being... Whoever referred to a G as a woman? I mean, they have other slang terms for that. Shorties being the more sanitized one.
He says East Coast G's have sex with West Coast G's. He stutters and corrects himself by saying these G's being women. Most will say he's saying having sets. SETS. But if that's true, he wouldn't have to correct himself to say women.
When East Coast G's have sex with West Coast G's, these G's being women.
Yeah, that was a Freudian slip with a very pathetic attempt. Especially, who has ever referred to East Coast or West Side G's being women? G is a slang for gangsta, man, guy, brother, whatever. You know, they have there's a whole different set of words for females in rap culture. Most of them which I can't say. But yeah, shorties or honeys or whatever are usually the more sanitized version. What the heck is this?
In conclusion, Tupac called out everyone for being gay, but could it have been him trying to deny his own homosexual urges? Could it have been the elite's way of subconsciously implanting feminine traits into the urban community, style, looks, thoughts, etc.? From Versace calling Tupac the most beautiful man, to Tupac allegedly saying Quincy Jones asked to have sex with him, to Tupac's hearing being on the wrong side, which indicated that a man was gay in the 90s. In the end, it all remains somewhat speculative.
They'll be, oh, these people. They'll be, oh, these people.
Is anybody still not convinced? Now, I knew I'd be getting some blowback from saying that DMX was the real one and Tupac wasn't. But now that we're checking the receipts, now that we're looking at the receipts, hopefully people will understand why I'm saying that Tupac might have been the manufactured shill and DMX was not.
You know?
Well, never mind. He's gay. Oval to Harmon would be roughly about a 5-minute drive, so how did he avoid hitting every other car? How did he get through 3 to 5 stoplights with no body damage to the car? Also, if they drove over the median, why isn't the front of the car scratched and is in fact pristine condition? Why is the car perfectly positioned in the middle of the street? It looks as if the car was planted there. Pay attention to the skid marks on the road. If a tire loses control, the marks on the road will be black and zigzag from the tires going in different directions. This mark is perfectly curved, looks like someone drove it in and planted the car there. Those marks don't indicate a struggle at all. And the tire and skid mark is white in color, which doesn't indicate hard stopping. This is the real crime scene photo taken the next day. No skid marks on the road from the tires losing control.
You know, these aren't jokes, these are thoughts, these are things that make you say,
I finally got over.
If this photo was taken at a red light, why is it that there's no street light reflecting on the windshield? We can see examples of reflecting lights from other photos.
Well, maybe 5 or 6 cars behind her. Then we came to another light, and that's when we stopped there. And then, as we were stopped there,
his eyes fluttering back and forth, having trouble remembering, he raises his eyebrows when he finally remembers the story. This is a clear sign of deception.
And then, as we were stopped there, you know,
there was, we were in like the second lane from the curb, and you know, cars were rolling by on both sides, and then next thing you know, it's like you just heard, you know, bang, 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 bang.
Leonard Jefferson said the streets were packed, bumper to bumper traffic, so how was the lane to the right of the BMW completely free the entire time to let the white Cadillac in? The streets were packed, but the right lane was open. The news reporters were right, it sounds like a movie because it's scripted just like one.
Suge had kind of like went up on the curb. He caught a flat after he came off the curb.
If Suge was boxed in the middle lane, then how did he immediately go over the median? Look at the small median.
Industry hoax is actually hilarious in actually breaking down the official narrative here, which clearly has quite a few issues.
Are we supposed to believe that this destroyed the BMW tire and rims at under 15 miles per hour?
Tupac and Suge Knight left Knight's home around 10:30 to go to Club 662. By 11:15 that evening, they were heading east on Flamingo, just coming to this intersection here at Koval. They were driving a black BMW 1996 model. Knight was driving, Tupac was in the passenger seat. Along the passenger side, right over here, came a late model white Cadillac, but he promptly floored the car, spinning it completely around and took a U-turn so that it instantly headed west on Flamingo. And the fact that the traffic on the strip after a heavyweight fight in Vegas is something to behold.
And the fact that the traffic on the strip after a heavyweight fight in Vegas is something to behold.
You know, these aren't jokes, these are thoughts, these are things that make you say.
And he made the left turn onto to that street. Next thing we know, there's cops, like on bicycles.
Once again, we can easily see if someone is being deceptive by body language. Hard swallowing. Similarly, the lack of moisture in our throats when we're lying can cause hard swallows, often referred to as the Adam's apple jump, gulp.
Next thing we know, there's cops, like on bicycles. Cops, like on bicycles, and then we see the cars rolling up, and then they just pulled out their guns.
Suge Knight makes a U-turn, the cameraman follows, and they amazingly travel back on the 5 minutes drive through packed traffic, stopping or running all red lights, all on bent rims. Lights, camera, action. Let's look at Leonard Jefferson's work. His IMDb states he's in the transportation department and worked on major TV shows and films as a supplier. Picture cars. Now that I'm looking back at the scene, the car looks planted there. Leonard Jefferson works with picture cars. Maybe the BMW was just a picture car, which is a staged vehicle that appears on film. Leonard Jefferson, a picture car coordinator who arranges pictures and cinematography for the vehicle and supplies stunts and special effects for the vehicle to make
We're not going to go
it
through
appear
all
realistic.
of this, but he just goes through all the issues here with the official narrative.
Who owns the system? The elite own the system.
You know, these aren't jokes, these are thoughts, these are things that make you say.
Pot. I'm like, man, set off, nigga, you to the doctor.
Suge said Pac was talking to him the entire time, but how can you talk if you're shot in the lung? He will struggle to breathe, never mind talk. Chances are, he would have been spewing blood out of his mouth.
These are things that make you say.
But they also said they pulled Tupac out of the car, laid him on the ground. The problem is if his lung was penetrated, he'd be coughing up blood. Laying him down on his back, he could possibly choke on his blood.
These are things that make you say.
Shakur shot in the chest in Las Vegas on Saturday night. We'll keep you
quiet. So that was kind of like a memorial time in the tunnel, because I seen him with the jewelry on.
Also November 30th, the same gold chain month by month. We found Tupac wearing his gold chain for the entire year of '94. March, April, July, August, September, and October. Also November 30th, the same day as the robbery, he wore his chain. December 1st, after the robbery, Tupac in a wheelchair shows us just how much he was robbed.
These are things that make you say.
Tupac played his role. He set the stage for what the hip-hop industry was to become today. His character was not going to be sufficient for these times. The elite play a game of chess well beyond many comprehension. They know when to provide heroes and villains to control the masses. They have been doing it for a long time and damn good at it.
I wanna die, you can watch it, and that's what you're gonna do. Die, you can, and that's what you're gonna do.
Interesting. Very, very interesting interview.
Don't wanna die, you can watch it, and that's what you're gonna do.
Keep on moving, won't stop, no. Keep on moving. I'm heading for that touch.
Okay, so now that we've gone over why Tupac Shakur could have been a plant,